Okay, part two of imperfect competition. We are going to talk about oligopoly, and we're going to talk about how government attempts to solve these problems that I'll go over briefly, but they should be pretty obvious. Okay, so an oligopoly is where you've got two or more companies, two, maybe three. Think about industries that you know of today that, two, maybe three companies are kind of it. I would say probably soft drinks. You got Coke, you got Pepsi, and then you got not much after that. You've got with cell service to some degree. You've got AT&T and Verizon, but now you've got T-Mobile and Sprint together, who merged. If we didn't hear that, who are now up there more. That's the kind of things that market responds to. Those kind of companies, Apple and Samsung in phones, I'd say probably. But again, you've got others. So those are not oligopolies because they don't behave a certain way. But in a pure market, and again, no government, an oligopoly is where a few companies control an industry. Okay? Now, the way they do this is not just through being big, but through something called collusion. I'm going to hold that up. Hopefully you can read that. I'm trying to get that glare off of there. Where it's simply two companies temporarily work together to control competition. Picture something like, I don't know, choose a city. Let's just choose a city. I'm looking out to the southwest, so we'll go Dallas. Let's say in Dallas, you've got market share of Coke is a year ago today, 43%. Pepsi, 35%. Dr. Pepper, which would be the third biggest, 9%. Okay? Fast forward a year, today, Coke 37, Pepsi 31, Dr. Pepper 19. I don't care if those numbers add up. That's a problem. Coke and Pepsi are like, no. Dr. Pepper's getting a little too big. So what they might do secretly is get together, and they could lower price. They could do all the stuff we talked about barriers to entry. They could lower price. They could sabotage. He's not a real doctor. He cheated through med school, whatever, or sabotage the product, or come out with new varieties, whatever it is, to try to get Dr. Pepper back in its place. Okay, so sometimes Coke and Pepsi don't love each other. They would love to destroy each other, but they know they can't because it's in class. I'd use the example of if you picture these two big sumo wrestlers, these big 800-pound dudes, and they're fight. And then as they're fighting, which is going to be a stalemate because they're even, here comes this little 400-pound guy in. Hey, he starts slapping at him and stuff. And they kind of look at each other and they count to 3 in Japanese. And then they throw him out. That's collusion. Sorry for my bad Japanese, but hopefully you get the idea. And then the theory is that Coke and Pepsi would do this, work together to get rid of the little guy. Once the little guy is back in his place, they go back to being competitors. So it's a temporary, keep that word in mind there. That's a temporary arrangement, okay? But it's very common, something that was warned about decades ago, centuries ago. When markets happen, the big guys want to get together to control the little guys because they don't want any more competition than they already have. If they can't get a monopoly, this is the next best thing. Okay? Now, to close this, when you think about a monopoly or an oligopoly, either one, the opoly is controlling the price. They're controlling the quantity, they're controlling the quality, they're controlling the wages within that industry. And if it's something that we need, if you have a monopoly on chia pets, who cares? Nobody needs a chia pet. If you have a monopoly on oil, more and more computers, electricity, which is a little different the way they treat that, then it becomes a problem. People have to have it. Okay? So then government will step in if it's a problem and do one of these things or maybe more, depending on the situation. And I'll put it up here too for you to read. Okay. So government may outlaw trusts. If you remember Teddy Roosevelt and Taft and all the trust busting, you can't do that. That's collusion. Okay, they may break companies up. They did that with Standard. Today, think maybe if you got some big, like Disney would be a good example. If they were somehow declared a monopoly, they might have to separate their theme parks and cruise lines and all that stuff from the movies. So you've got two separate companies. You got Dis and Knee or whatever. And the other thing that government does is they will engage in what's called merger control. If two companies like AT&T or T-Mobile and Sprint, I told you just a few minutes ago about them merging. They tried that twice and it fell apart because there were concerns about how that would affect the market. But if you look at something like McDonald's wanting to buy Penn Station, okay, that would not be a big deal because McDonald's, when a merger goes through, the government will ask itself three questions. If you remember back to those criteria, what does it do to McDonald's market share in that industry? It'll make it go up a little bit. Penn Station, as good as it is, doesn't have that much market share. Two, does it create less competition? A little bit, again, not a big deal. Then you ask yourself, why is McDonald's doing this? And why would McDonald's want to buy Penn Station? Think about that. It's easy, okay? They're competing to some degree against who? Subway. Because McDonald's doesn't have that cold sandwich market. And also they're trying to broaden their menu, which is normally going to be okay. But let McDonald's try and buy Burger King, the fourth, I think now, largest fast food chain. Then it's, is that increasing market share? Yes, for sure. Is it decreasing competition? Yes, especially in the burger world. And three, why is McDonald's doing that? Who's going to scream from the rooftops to stop that merger? Wendy, because that is designed to attack her. They're not broadening their offerings, they're simply deepening them. More burgers, more fries, more shakes, and things like that. So most mergers are allowed, but government retains the right to control that to make sure that you don't get some sort of I'm trying to think of two. If Coke wanted to buy Pepsi, no way. Because it's too much. They control that market too much. It'd be like 80% of the market. And even though nobody needs that, they make waters, they make orange juice, they make energy drinks, they make Pepsi owns all of PepsiCo or Frito, Lay, so all the snack aisle, more or less, they would own all that, and that's a big segment of that, whatever you want to call that, bad for you food market, I guess. So normally, like I said, those are approved, but if you don't think you're going to get approved, you probably don't try the merger in the first place. So, all right, well, that's it for this. I'm going to make it, I think, two more. We should be able to do spillovers and together, and then, public goods. All right, see you.